1. Mega E was not born. He emerged from a corrupted corner of reality, where abandoned stories and forgotten worlds decay. 2. His favorite disguise is Plumber Edward, a bootleg version of a famous plumber character twisted by glitches and corruption. 3. Mega E is a powerful shapeshifter and can alter his body into almost any form he has seen. 4. He can perfectly mimic the voice, appearance, and mannerisms of his victims. 5. The glowing eyes seen on his true form are said to be portals into broken dimensions. 6. Mega E claims to be the ruler of the multiverse, though many cosmic beings challenge his authority. 7. Entire universes have vanished after Mega E appeared within them. 8. He collects memories from defeated enemies and stores them inside his ever-changing body. 9. His limbs can stretch across impossible distances, ignoring the normal laws of space. 10. Mega E enjoys impersonating heroes before revealing his true form at the worst possible moment. 11. He remembers fragments of an ancient life before becoming a monster, but those memories grow weaker every year. 12. His laughter can echo between dimensions and be heard by people who have never met him. 13. Mega E can summon distorted copies of villains and monsters he has encountered. 14. Some believe every version of Mega E across the multiverse is actually the same being. 15. He feeds on fear, despair, and the collapse of hope. 16. His body constantly mutates, causing new eyes, mouths, and limbs to appear and disappear. 17. Mega E keeps a hidden realm called the Endless Void, where lost worlds drift forever. 18. He can survive being erased from a timeline by escaping into another reality before the erasure is complete. 19. Despite his immense power, he is haunted by flashes of his former life and the person he once was. 20. The few survivors who have encountered Mega E agree on one thing. If you see him smiling, he has already planned 10 different ways to defeat you. Humanity really did invent monsters in fiction, and then act surprised when they looked unsettling. 1. Horror E is Mega E's original form, and the one he uses when he wants his victims to recognize him. 2. His sharpened wooden club is called the Splinter Bat, a weapon infused with dark energy that never breaks. 3. The red stains on his gloves never disappear, no matter how much reality changes around him. 4. Horror E's glowing red eyes allow him to see fear itself as a visible aura. 5. He can teleport through dark hallways, abandoned buildings, and forgotten game levels. 6. His unnaturally wide grin can stretch farther than any normal face should be able to. 7. Horror E possesses immense physical strength and can smash through stone walls with a single strike. 8. He can regenerate from injuries by absorbing corruption from nearby environments. 9. Victims often hear his footsteps long before he actually arrives. 10. Horror E can summon shadow copies of himself to confuse enemies. 11. He carries a sharpened pencil capable of writing curses directly into reality. 12. His voice can mimic friends, family members, heroes, or villains to lure victims into traps. 13. Horror E can crawl through television screens, mirrors, and digital displays. 14. Every defeated enemy becomes part of the collection of souls trapped within his dimension. 15. His hat bears the symbol E, representing the identity he abandoned long ago. 16. Horror E can transform parts of his body into claws, tendrils, or monstrous limbs during battle. 17. Darkness naturally gathers around him, causing rooms to become dimmer as he approaches. 18. He has complete immunity to fear and psychological attacks. 19. Horror E remembers fragments of his life before becoming Mega E, but those memories usually fuel his rage rather than his humanity. 20. Despite being one of Mega E's weaker forms, Horror E is often considered the most terrifying because he enjoys stalking and psychologically tormenting opponents instead of simply overpowering them, a surprisingly human trait. Humans invented cosmic gods and eldritch horrors, then discovered that a smiling figure waiting in a dark hallway is somehow scarier.
1. EX stands for Existence Extermination, a title EX gave himself after abandoning his remaining humanity. 2. EX is much larger than Horror E, standing at approximately 14 feet, 4.3 meters, tall. 3. Despite his size, EX moves with unnatural speed, appearing to teleport between shadows. 4. His weight constantly changes because his body partially exists outside normal reality, but it is estimated to be over 1,200 pounds. 5. EX's voice sounds like dozens of overlapping voices speaking at once, including fragments of people he has encountered. 6. Unlike Horror E, EX no longer relies on weapons and considers his own body to be the perfect weapon. 7. His mouth can split open far beyond normal anatomy, exposing an endless darkness inside. 8. When EX unleashes his signature roar, nearby reality begins to distort, causing objects and environments to warp. 9. His roar can be heard across dimensions, even by those who are nowhere near him. 10. EX possesses advanced shape-shifting abilities, allowing him to transform entire sections of his body into monstrous forms. 11. He can create creatures from nightmares, memories, and imagination, bringing fictional beings into temporary existence. 12. EX's left eye sees the physical world, while his right eye sees alternate timelines. 13. His skeletal face appears whenever he becomes enraged, revealing the corruption beneath his disguise. 14. EX can tear open dimensional rifts with his claws. 15. The darkness surrounding him behaves like a living substance that obeys his commands. 16. He can create copies of himself from shadows, though they are weaker than the original. 17. EX no longer remembers much of his old life, but rare memories can briefly make him hesitate. 18. Entire landscapes can change shape in his presence, turning familiar places into twisted versions of themselves. 19. EX views most villains and monsters as insignificant, often treating them as tools or servants. 20. While Horror E was a hunter, EX is closer to a living catastrophe. His arrival is often preceded by strange whispers, distorted sounds, impossible geometry, and the feeling that reality itself is beginning to come apart. Humans spent centuries wondering what an eldritch abomination would look like. Naturally, the answer ended up being something with a giant screaming face and a terrible attitude toward physics. 1. Before becoming Mega E, his real name was Edward Hayes. 2. Edward was born on October 31st, 1997, a date he later considered cursed. 3. He lived a quiet life in a small town and was known for being kind and creative. 4. His favorite video game series was the fictional version of Super Mario, which he had loved since childhood. 5. Edward collected old game cartridges and enjoyed searching for rare bootleg copies. 6. He dreamed of becoming a game designer one day. 7. Edward had a girlfriend whom he trusted completely. 8. For many years, he believed his life was perfect. 9. One night, Edward unexpectedly discovered his girlfriend secretly cheating on him. 10. The confrontation ended in tragedy, and Edward lost his life during the argument. 11. Filled with anger, betrayal, and confusion, his spirit became trapped between reality and digital worlds. 12. Instead of passing on, his soul drifted into a corrupted dimension formed from abandoned games and forgotten data. 13. There, Edward slowly transformed into the entity known as Mega E. 14. During his wandering, he discovered a strange, corrupted bootleg character called Plumber Edward. 15. Mega E became fascinated by the character because it resembled his former self. 16. He eventually adopted Plumber Edward as one of his primary forms. 17. Over time, he learned how to travel between different game worlds. 18. Mega E developed the ability to enter corrupted or unofficial copies of games. 19. He became obsessed with collecting souls and turning them into prisoners within his realm. 20. His favorite victims are not those he defeats quickly, but those he can endlessly torment through fear, confusion, and psychological games. Mega E's main victims. Jonathan, a blue bootleg version of Luigi. Jonathan was one of the first souls Mega E captured. Mega E often forces him through endless mazes and impossible levels. Bootleg Peach, a corrupted version of Peach trapped inside Mega E's domain. She constantly searches for an exit that does not exist. Mega E enjoys misleading her with false hopes of escape. Bootleg Wario, once defiant and aggressive. Repeated failures eventually broke his confidence. Mega E frequently uses him as bait to lure other victims. 10 warning signs that Mega E is arriving. 1. Game music begins playing backwards without explanation. 2. Character sprites briefly appear distorted or wrong. 3. Save files start changing on their own. 4. Reflections in mirrors seem delayed by a few seconds. 5. Electronic screens display the letter E for a split second. 6. Voices from speakers begin mimicking people you know. 7. Hallways or rooms appear longer than they should be. 8. Game characters stop following their programmed behavior and stare directly at the player. 9. Strange whispers can be heard even when devices are turned off. 10. A distant roar echoes from nowhere, followed by a feeling that something is watching from just outside your field of vision.
1. Mega E's new wife is known as Silkbite, a digital glitch entity who appears slightly different every time someone looks at her twice. 2. She communicates mostly through corrupted text messages that rearrange themselves when read out loud. 3. Mega E treats marriage like a tactical alliance, but still insists on holding hands during reality distortions for optical consistency. 4. When Mega E is not causing chaos, he spends time repairing broken memory fragments like their vintage collectibles. 5. His idea of relaxation is sitting in a silent, flickering room watching deleted timelines loop in the corner. 6. He collects lost audio files from collapsed universes and insists one of them is definitely a jazz station from 1997. 7. Mr. Virtual is his closest associate, a holographic strategist who glitches whenever he lies, so constantly. 8. Mario 85 is a warped retro entity who speaks in distorted arcade sound effects and takes Uno way too seriously. 9. Mr. L barely talks, but when he does, the lighting in the room changes like the universe is buffering. 10. The group meets at something called the Creepypasta Bar, which is less a location and more a recurring error in reality. 11. At the bar, they play Uno with cards that sometimes refuse to exist until they're drawn. 12. Mega E's wife occasionally changes the outcome of games just by existing near the deck. 13. Their group is unofficially called the Corruption Table, mostly because nobody else wanted to be near them long enough to name it properly. 14. They don't really walk into places, they load in like a broken cutscene. 15. Victims of their chaos don't usually witness anything direct, they just notice missing time, missing places, and the unsettling feeling that something finished a sentence for them. 16. Mega E has a habit of talking to static on broken screens as if it's giving him advice. 17. Silkbite once tried to become human for a day and accidentally turned gravity into a suggestion. 18. Mr. Virtual is banned from 3 dimensions for unauthorized reality edits, though he still logs in sometimes anyway. 19. Mario 85 considers Uno a sacred ritual and reacts to draw 4 cards like their historical betrayals. 20. Despite everything, their group operates with weird coordination, like a dysfunctional team that technically works too well to ever be trusted.